A lot of this, the stuff I've been reading about recently seems to be, I don't know if it's accidental or intentional, but it seems to be talking about the felt sense of certain things, the felt sense of certain cognitive operations. So I was looking, for example, at Robert Burton's book about certainty. I think it's called something like On Being Certain, which is, it's basically saying that that our understanding of something being true and our knowing something is also accompanied by a feeling of knowing. That's what he calls certainty, a feeling of knowing. I've also come across it's also come across in some of my research around free will, which I'll talk about some other time, I guess. But also, I was just looking at a book yesterday by Eugene Gendlin. It's called something like Experience and the Meaning. Something I can't remember. It's got meaning in the title. It's got experience in the title. I'll see if I can remember when I get back. But and what he's talking about that is about what I think he calls the felt component of meaning. Felt component of meaning. And what he's basically saying there is that meaning, that word meaning, our understanding of meaning, has got two components to it. One is to do with the relationship between symbols, or the relationship between a symbol and an object. So, for example, if I've got this piece of paper and I write like there's a CAT on it, that set of symbols, which I might pronounce as cat, refers to some object out there in the world, like a cat. Or it might refer to my mental impression of a cat. But there's a kind of relationship between the symbol and an object, or between two different symbols. Or to take a different example, I might have some kind of neuronal representation, not representation, not quite the right word, but some kind of neuronal activation going on in my mind right now, which corresponds to the tree I'm looking at over there. And so again, there's a meaningful correlation between that symbol and that object. And that's again part of this, of what it is for something to mean something. Relationship between symbols, or a relationship between symbols and objects. But then Gendlin says, in addition to that, we've also got this other component, which is the feeling of meaning. So it isn't just that I know that I can look at these three letters on a piece of paper and look at this four-legged animal on the ground and kind of simply understand the relationship in a trivial way. I kind of know that, and that knowing has a particular sense. I can feel it. And similarly, the relationship between this neuronal pattern in my brain and that buzzing cloud of atoms over there, I call a tree, isn't just a kind of distanced, uninflected relationship between symbols, or between symbols and objects. I can feel it, and I call that particular feeling perception in this case. I call it seeing this tree. So there's a very strong felt sense in that. And that's absent. That seems to be a particularly human, or a particularly sentient, or conscious, or whatever you want to call it, faculty. That isn't the case from lots of other symbol manipulations or symbol relationships. I'm assuming that when my laptop does whatever it does to data files and sets up symbolic relationships between different data files that we might call putting them into folders, or we might call naming them, whatever it is, whatever those symbols are manipulated, I don't think my laptop has a feeling of that meaning. I don't think there's anything going on like that. I think it is simply, not simply, but you know what I mean. I think it is only about relationship between symbols and between symbols and objects. And similarly, even from personal experience, if I'm doing algebra, God forbid, but if I am doing algebra, and I as part of my algebraic formulation, I say, let this hidden number equal x. So I put x into a quadratic equation, and I do the various maths and work it out. So I find the value of x by the end. It's been purely symbol manipulation. At no point have I felt the relationship between x and the number, except possibly at the end, when I've got to the end of it, and I might get a small feeling of satisfaction for having solved it and for having established meaningful relationships, a felt meaningful relationship between x and the unknown number. But up to that point, it's purely been computation, purely been symbol manipulation. Okay, I don't know what else to say about that really, but that's yeah, I think, as I say, I think it's just one of a series of different relationships that have this felt component. I'll have to try and think of some others, but certainly meaning does seem to be one of them. I'll just show you this field actually while I'm here. This is a meaningful field. Look at that. It's a great colour green, this field this morning. I don't usually bring my dogs this way, but today I did.